Something has to give with the Carolina Panthers. You can't continue to put Bryce Young on the field with the performances that he's having right now. They just lost against the Los Angeles Chargers 26-3. You can say that the Panthers are going against tough competition with the Saints and with the Chargers. Bryce Young is not a good quarterback right now, and he looks like a bust. They made a crucial mistake selecting him over CJ, selecting him over Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. It is heartbreaking if you are a Carolina Panthers fan and you see those other quarterbacks show a lot of good moments when they can push the ball down the field and you can just get some positivity going on the offensive end. And when you see Bryce Young drift outside the pocket for no apparent reason and take a stupid sack like how he did today against the Los Angeles Chargers. When you see him overthrow wide receivers for 15 yards, like how he did against the New Orleans Saints, when his first pass on the day last week went for an interception against the Saints. He's not a good quarterback. He reminds me a lot of Kenny Pickett. He looks like a deer in headlights. Forget his confidence for a second. They need to put in Andy Dalton. And you really need to see what you have with this roster, because they have went out there and they've tried to make moves to help out Bryce Young. The leading wide receiver today was Tommy Tremble. Now, all last season, all I heard about was Frank Reich was a terrible offensive play caller, and he was. He was horrible. Then they went out there and they gave the offensive coordinator the play calling duties, and Thomas Brown. He was terrible as well. Then they fired Frank Reich. And we talked about how bad the offensive line play was last season, and it was terrible. They only had one receiving option, Adam Thielen. That was it. But guys were getting open last year, and Bryce Young either didn't see them or he overthrew them. But you give rookies grace because it's their first year in the NFL. But what was so damning about the Panthers situation last season? That team would have had the first overall pick, but they traded a first-round pick, DJ Moore, and more draft capital to go up and select this kid. That's what they gave up to get Bryce Young. If he continues to head down this trajectory that he's headed towards, forget about getting a quarterback in the next year. You give up on him now, and you go with a guy like Cam Ward in college. You go with a guy like Shedeur Sanders. Because there's no fixing this. A lot of things that Bryce Young is struggling with right now, you just can't fix. The anticipation, the accuracy, these are problems he did not have in college. And you can say that the Carolina Panthers have already broke him. If that's the case, move off of him after this season. Let Andy Dalton play for the rest of the year. Put him in the game and see what you have with his talent. Because Deontay Johnson is a very good wide receiver. Xavier Legette is a very good receiver coming out of college. And one thing that I don't want to see people talk about is saying that, hey, the Panthers have no talent on the offensive end. That's not true. They went out there. They made a lot of moves to help out Bryce Young. And so far, it's not working. We're only 2 weeks into this thing. But coming from a guy that has seen Kenny Pickett play, coming from a guy that has seen Mitch Trubisky play football games, I can tell you when a quarterback is heading to the right trajectory and when they're not. This kid is not. It doesn't take an elite football analyst to see that Bryce Young is not a good quarterback right now. He is taking stupid sacks. His anticipation is not there. He doesn't have the crazy playmaking ability like how most scouts say that he would have coming out of college. This franchise made a brutal and crucial mistake selecting this kid over CJ. And a lot of people will come on here and they will say, well, CJ went into a good situation when he didn't. You're undermining the success of CJ, and you're trying to make it seem like Bryce Young just went into this horrible situation and that if Bryce Young was with the Houston Texans, he'll be better off. No. Bryce Young is a very inaccurate quarterback that is undersized, and he doesn't have the mobility to get inside and outside the pocket. And when I look at the defense of the Carolina Panthers, they're not even as good as they were over the last couple seasons, because there is no way in hell to where the Los Angeles Chargers should be running over this team the way that they did. And I said this when they traded Burns to the New York Giants. A lot of Panther fans tried to undermine what he did with them. He was a very good defensive lineman, but he wanted to get paid. They traded him to the Giants. And you went out there and you picked up Jadeveon Clowney in free agency. The thing is with Jadeveon Clowney, he is not a sack machine. Jadeveon Clowney is good against the run. The only time that he can generate a pass rush is when he is playing alongside another guy that can go out over there and be dominant. He would be special if he was playing alongside a TJ Watt or a Micah Parsons or a Nick Bosa. He is not a true number one pass rusher. So now you don't have that anymore because Derrick Brown is out for the rest of the season. This is what happens when you sacrifice your defense to try to help out your offense. Now you're putting Coach E into a terrible situation. And he's a very good defensive coordinator, but it's only so much he can do. I saw J.C. Horn get burned in this game by Quentin Johnston in the red zone. He did walk away with the interception in this game, but it's only so much the secondary can do when you can't get pressure up front. And it was times where they were able to get pressure on Justin Herbert, and it was some other times where Justin Herbert had all day in the pocket. And they aren't going to be able to stop the run consistently enough either. At least over the last couple of years when Sam Darnold was the starting quarterback, when Baker Mayfield was in the game, when they had P.J. Walker, the defense was able to give you something. Now the defense can't give you anything like how they used to be able to because you don't have that defensive talent anymore. You traded Dante Jackson, a very good cornerback, struggled with injuries, had a holding call here and there, but he was a solid corner when he was on the field. You traded him away to the Steelers to go get Deontay Johnson. What good is it to have good wide receivers when your quarterback can't hit them? What good is it to bring in brand new offensive linemen when your quarterback can't fully see the field? Today's game wasn't all on Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is not helping the cause. And right now he's at the forefront. You can say that I'm being unfair, but at the same time, look at what the Panthers gave up to get this kid. He has to play better. And if he can't play better, and if he doesn't play better, it makes zero sense to put him on the field. Most people would say you're hurting his confidence by yanking him and putting in Andy Dalton. You're not helping his confidence by putting him out there in the field and letting him continue to throw interceptions like how he did in today's game. When he threw that interception in today's game against the Chargers, the kid like he was about to cry. He looked like he was about to ball up and just say, man, you know what? I'm done. The body language is negative, and this is something that he did not have in his first year in the NFL. The Panthers have mismanaged the situation? Yes. He would have benefited from sitting down his first year behind Andy Dalton? Yes. You can say that David Tepper is the worst owner in the NFL, and with Dan Snyder being out, he is. But at the end of the day, Bryce Young has to play better. This is a better offense this season than it was last season. And now we have seen Dave Canales go out there and work with quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, like Russell Wilson, and he has helped them out. I also want to say this as well. Dave Canales, for whatever reason, he continues to try to stretch the field with Bryce Young, and guys are getting open. He just doesn't see it. Stop trying to call play action bootleg plays because teams aren't falling for it. They're stacking the box. That's what they're doing. Dave Canales said he wants to go out there and run the football as much as possible. You're not going to be able to do it if your quarterback can't stretch the field. History has shown that. When you have quarterbacks like Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, you're not going to be able to run the football as much because defenses, they don't respect them. And Bryce Young never had a rocket arm to begin with. What made him so appealing coming out of Alabama, he can make all these crazy plays on the run. He's like a mini Patrick Mahomes. That's what a lot of analysts said on ESPN and on Fox. I never said that, but that's what they said. They lied to Carolina Panther fans. They lied to them about a quarterback that could come in and immediately get them over the hump. And Carolina Panther fans have been put through hell because since they moved on from Cam Newton, they have had to deal with quarterbacks like Teddy Bridgewater, who's a solid backup. Now he's a high school coach. They've had to deal with them trading picks to go get Sam Darnold, and it didn't work out. They traded the pick to go get Baker Mayfield. It didn't work out. And what is even more heartbreaking, if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, Joe Brady was an offensive play caller with this organization, with Matt Rule. He got fired. He is now having major success with the Buffalo Bills. Sam Darnold is now having success with the Minnesota Vikings. Baker Mayfield, the quarterback that was here, even though they were no good with the Panthers, he has now found a true home with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they just won the division last season. Matt Rule goes off to college, is now having success with Nebraska. It seems like when people leave the Carolina Panthers, they just immediately glow up. And as soon as they enter the Panthers Stadium, they're just worse off for it. They had very good defensive talent. They had very good players as a whole. They had Christian McCaffrey, who was one of the best running backs in the NFL when they had him. The man had 1,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards with them in the season. One of the very few running backs to ever do that in the NFL in the season. They had DJ Moore. You traded him away to the Chicago Bears to go and get Bryce Young. You traded Burns, who was a very good defensive player, who is no longer with them now. He's with the New York Giants. Frankie Louvu wanted out. He went to the Washington Commanders. How much longer can they continue to do this? David Tepper is a major problem. He's the worst owner in the NFL. The Panthers haven't seen any success since he purchased his team. The darkest day in Carolina Panthers history was when David Tepper bought the team. And the second darkest day was when they selected Bryce Young with the first overall pick instead of selecting CJ with that pick. And that's just being truthful. This is a team that's going nowhere fast. Next week, you give Bryce Young the start. If it doesn't look better, you slide in Andy Dalton by halftime. I wanted them to put in Andy Dalton at halftime in this game. And this is coming from a guy that shielded Bryce Young last season. I shielded him. I said, hey, it's a bad situation. The offensive line play is terrible. The head coach is a problem. The play calling isn't any better. But at the same time, when you look at him on film, he will miss throws. And that has continued to carry over. He's just no good. And he can't be an elite game manager either because it takes him too long to process plays. I can tell you why it takes him too long to process plays. When you look at a guy like Peyton Manning, easy to process plays, gets rid of the football quick. Bryce Young is looking at the field. Guys are open. He just doesn't throw it. And when he does throw it, it's too late. Majority of his interceptions in his career have either been overthrows or there's just throws that make you scratch your head saying, hey, that receiver was open 2 seconds ago and you threw it 3 seconds late. What's going on here? That's a processing issue. He's not able to analyze NFL defenses. And until they can figure these things out, the Carolina Panthers are going to continue to be one of the worst franchises in the NFL. Dave Canales is a young head coach. This is his first year in the NFL as a head coach. He's done a lot of good things in the past as an offensive play caller, as a quarterback's coach. This is a different league for him. But I don't want to see people saying that it's all on him. It's not. And they've tried the all-star coaching staff like how they did last year. It's just no good. The Carolina Panthers are a terrible football team and they have a terrible quarterback. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Carolina Panthers and can they turn their season around? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.